Welcome to Redefining Balance for Working Moms podcast, where we believe life balance is possible. Yes, even for you. You might just have to redefine what it looks like for yourself. I'm your host, fellow working mom, and founder of Your Life Rocks, Jenny Stemmerman. Each week, I'll bring you practical, real-life tips to help you focus on the things that matter most in life and be the best version of yourself in every area that God has called you to. Ready to redefine what balance looks like for you and your life? Let's go. Hey there, welcome to the show. I am so excited that you are here today because today we are doing our Summer of Awesome kickoff. Now, Summer of Awesome is some extra bonus content that we've been doing, maybe the last 3 years, 4 years. It's been a number of years that we've been doing the Summer of Awesome. It just keeps getting more and more awesome every single year. Now, Summer of Awesome is something we do totally for free. And this year, you can get all of the great tools and resources that we've put together for you to create a Summer of Awesome right inside the Your Life Rocks app. So you can go right into your app store and download it today. Go to courses and you'll find Summer of Awesome. Now, today, I'm going to be walking you through the different resources that you'll find inside of the app, but most importantly, how to plan the most awesome summer ever. Now, depending on where you are in the world when you're listening, this summer might be very different than summers in the past. I mean, I think for most of us, it's going to even feel slightly different, even if everything else is mostly normal, given everything that we've gone through this spring with COVID-19 and all of the changes that we've all experienced because of that. But it's because of all of that I love that we have the power to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to choose something different for my family. I'm going to choose to make an awesome season for them, regardless of how the last season has gone for you. For some people out there, I know being on lockdown and being in quarantine at home, it was amazing. And for others, it was like the most stressful thing you've ever had to experience in your entire life. And there's a lot of different bits of that in between. I think for a lot of us, is probably similar to my situation where some days it was really awesome and some days it was really, really hard. It wasn't an overall feeling of like, I kind of like this way of living, or an overall of this is the worst ever. And that's just it, isn't it? That we take one day at a time. But before we can take one day at a time, it's important that we start with a solid foundation, a good intention of what we want to be creating. And that's what we're going to be talking about today is how can you really set that intention regardless of circumstances and the way that you want the summer to go for you, for your kids, for your husband, and how that can really impact all the different areas of your life. Now, there's something special about summertime. I love summertime. It's like a magical time. I don't know why. It's like Christmas, but different. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just different than the rest of the year. And I think that there's ways that we can make every day special all year round, but especially in summertime. Maybe it's because I really enjoy the feeling of having freedom. And as a kid, when you don't have school in the summer, you just feel free, like anything is possible and you can really do it all. Now, obviously, as an adult, things change when we get a little bit older, but that doesn't mean that we have to stop having fun. In fact, we get to create more fun with our kids and for ourselves when we go through the Summer of Awesome process. And if you've listened to the show before, then you know I love process. I love structure. I love having some systems in place. In fact, that's one of the 3 pillars that we have when you start to create balance in your life. Regardless of how you define what balance looks like for the season that you're in, we believe that balance includes Jesus first, having community, and having systems. And the Summer of Awesome really brings in all 3 of those things. But today on this show, we're going to be diving into the system and how to create the Summer of Awesome. All right, now let's get into it. Now, I want to first off start by sharing an overview of what you'll find inside of the app under the Summer of Awesome course. So you're going to find first a welcome video from me talking a little bit about Summer of Awesome and the resources that are in there. And then we get right into the planning. So the planning worksheet, it is a PDF and you can print it out and fill it out. You can fill it out electronically and save it to your computer. It is a great resource for you. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, when you go to access the course, you can access that Summer of Awesome workbook directly from the course, but you can also add it to your Dropbox or your Google Drive. There's buttons there for you as well. Now, in addition to the planning worksheet, I also will walk you through a fun little exercise called Making a Summer Bucket List, which we'll be talking about here in just a minute. Inside the Summer of Awesome, you'll also find a summer shopping list if you're looking for some fun ideas of things that you can maybe shop for now that help to contribute to making summer extra awesome. I've also included in the whole packet of Summer of Awesome a list of small ideas that you can do to create memories. Now, these are things that are designed for you to do after work, before work, on the weekends, around your job. Because sometimes, I used to get so frustrated. I would look at like Pinterest and there would be all of these great summer ideas, but they were like things to do with your kids during the day. And I was always at work during the day, so I could never do those things with my children. But that doesn't mean that we can't do anything with them. It just means we have to get a little bit more creative. So there's some small ideas to create some memories and some summer magic with your family. Now, I've also included 2 podcast episodes that we did in the past years. One of them is all about creating a summer of awesome for your family. And the other one is all about creating a summer of awesome for you. And I highly encourage that you go back and you listen to those past episodes, because while the summer of awesome for your family is largely what we're going to be talking about in today's episode, sometimes we always plan stuff for our family. We plan things for our kids, and we don't always think about taking care of ourselves until we're like at that breaking point. And we're like, no one ever takes care of us. We have to take care of everyone. Well, guess what? We need to take care of ourselves too. So I hope you listen to that episode and do some of the things that are recommended in there. Now, to help you make self-care a priority this summer and to help you have extra fun this summer, we will be doing a summer podcast challenge. So that'll be coming up in a couple weeks. You'll hear me talk about it a little bit more as we get closer. Now, in the past, our summer challenge has always been a 7-week inspirational, full of tips and tricks to really focus you on doing different activities each and every single week. This week, we're expanding it a little bit more. It'll be 9 weeks. So I'm really, really excited to dive into that in just a couple weeks. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this planning process of Summer of Awesome. Now, I know that when we talk about planning, some of us get really excited and some of us cringe, but I want you to know that if you are really into planning, you're going to love this process. And if you're not, it's really, really simple. I promise it's not going to be like this really hard thing that you're going to have to get through. I honestly think you're probably going to enjoy it as well. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to set some strong intentions. So even if you don't do the worksheet, I want you to be thinking about these things as you're hearing me talk, because even just bringing it into your brain, into your mind while we're talking about this right now, it will help you to set that intention. So many times, and this goes to everything in our life, all the different goals that we have, if we don't speak it, then we don't even know that it's always there. But if we take time to really think about it, speak it out loud, now we've brought it into reality. We've brought it into the light. And when it's into the light, it stays there. Even if it's quiet, even if it's kind of hidden in the corner, we've brought it into our attention. And so our likelihood of having success is so much greater versus it being hidden in the dark. Okay, so the first question you're going to want to ask yourself is, what do you want your kids to learn this summer? Now, a lot of us, our kids kind of ended this school year in a non-traditional way. And so, they might be completely over internet learning at this point. But one of the things that I've learned in the last couple months, and if you're like me, this might apply to you too, but it's been really interesting doing the kids' schoolwork with them at home, because I'm able to kind of see what are those things that they are really awesome at and what are the things they're maybe struggling with. And, in the past, the teachers might have mentioned it, maybe they didn't. But it's a whole different thing when you can kind of see the way that your kids think and process things and, the things that you think that might help them be stronger in an educational sense in the future. So by having that insight, you might be thinking there are some things I do want my kids to learn this summer. So put that down on the worksheet. Now, the next thing, and this has always been the only question for a number of years that I did when I was doing the Summer of Awesome. Back before Your Life Rocks, I would always ask myself at the beginning of summer, how do I want my kids to describe their summer vacation when they go back to school, right? You go back to school and like the first day of school, people always say, so what did you do over your summer break? And I never wanted my kids to be like, well, I sat and watched TV all summer long. We did nothing that was really that memorable or that exciting or, there was just no real memories made. And I always wanted them to come back and be like, oh my gosh, it was the best summer ever. These are all the things that we did, and just really be excited about life. Now, in the same line with that, how do you want to describe summer? When you are going into fall, when it's starting to be a little bit chillier and you're getting excited for all of the fall things, what do you want to think about when you are describing summer? When you're looking back over this next upcoming season, how do you want to remember it? Now, the next question on the worksheet might feel a little bit redundant, but I'm going to explain to you kind of what the intention of it is so that it doesn't feel redundant, because it's really not. I mean, when we talk about the first couple questions about what you want your kids to learn, how you want them to describe the summer or remember the summer, and same for you, the next question is, what is your primary goal for your kids for the summer? And it could be that they need to pick up their learning. It could be that you want them to have fun. There's been some summers, I'll be honest, the primary goal was to rest. It was to be low key because the kids just were doing a lot of sports and activities. And in the summertime, all of that paused. And I just wanted them to be able to rest and not have a schedule of school and all of the things, right? Now, my primary goal this summer for my kids is for them to be outside. I feel like we have been inside so much, and my kids are getting a little bit older. And I don't know, I just feel like it's at the time and age where they need to be learning some life skills, building some habits that will serve them as they become adults. And so I want them to get involved into outdoor activities a little bit more this summer than we've done in years past. And then the next question is, what is your primary goal for you this summer? Maybe it's to be more present. Maybe it's to work on your energy and your health, or to sleep better, or whatever it is for you. Maybe it's to not get so focused in on how many summers your kids have left before they turn 18. Maybe that's something that really gives you anxiety and you need to just kind of like chill out a little bit. Maybe make summer a little bit simpler. I know that that seems counterintuitive given everything that we're talking about, to think about how to make summer more simple. But again, it's about setting the intention for the summer that you want, not the summer that you think that you should have, but the summer that you really feel like you need right now in the season of life that you're in, with everything that your family is going through, and knowing that there's complete permission and grace in that. But even if that is your intention, you have to plan for it. Otherwise, you know what? You're going to start saying yes to stuff. Things are going to get busy, and all of a sudden, summer's not simple anymore. So you kind of have to plan to make it simple in order to stick to that intention. Okay, so with all of that said, step 2 is to move on to planning the calendar. So now that you've got your goals set, now we need to bring them to life. Now, this is sometimes a harsh reality, but you know what? Whether we like it or not, reality is reality, and we need to bring it into the light, just like we were talking about earlier, so we can really see it for what it is and plan logically around it. So, how many days do your kids have for summer break this year? You might not know. You might have to look at the calendar, but that's okay. No one probably knows that number off the top of their head. But knowing how many days, how many weeks they actually have is so vitally important. I mean, if you think about, like, sometimes we think summer goes by so fast. Sometimes we think, oh, they've got so much time for a summer. Either way, it's not the reality. The reality is it's a finite number, right? And so if we are going to be planning around how to make the summer the most awesome so that we can cultivate the right experiences that have the end goal that we want to have, we need to know what we're working with. How many days do they have? Now, this is where you're going to want to get out your calendar, and you're going to want to make sure that everything that is already scheduled and planned is on there. Things like upcoming camp, VBS, different clinics that you might have your kids going into. If there's doctor's appointments or teeth cleaning that you've scheduled over the summer months, because quite frankly, it's easier to do that when they don't have to miss school. Make sure those things are on your calendar. If you know that you're going to be traveling for work at any point in time in the summer, make sure that that is going to be on your calendar as well. And this is the part of the facing the reality of the calendar that is sometimes a little bit scary, because I think, oh, there's all of this stuff that we want to do this summer. And then when you start looking at like how many days of summer break they actually have, how many weeks are there, and then you start to plug in all of the stuff that's already planned. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the time that has not been spoken for. How many days will you have with them this summer? Because when you start thinking about some of the things you want to do, it might be full day things, right? So we're talking Saturdays, Sundays. I know some of us might be lucky enough that we can be a little bit flexible with our work schedule in the summer. I've heard from some people in our life balance community that they go to summer schedule where they don't have to work Fridays, which is awesome if you can negotiate that. But if you can't, we're just talking about a couple days a week and some evenings and mornings. But if some of the things that you want to plan are like overnight things or full day things, your time is very, very limited, especially if some of those weekends, they're going to be at camp or they're going to be doing other things or you're going to be traveling. So how many actual days do you have with your kids this summer? Now, I'm going to say something here, and it is written on this worksheet as well, because it's something that I think is so very important as moms. We give a lot of weight to things that go on our shoulders that can cause extra guilt and shame, and they don't need to. But it's all dependent on us on how much weight we give it. So whatever number you have entered into that box on the worksheet, it is just a number. Don't give it more weight than what is needed. It's easy to think and feel really guilty that thinking that it's not enough time and that every moment counts and your number is just the right number. You have to believe that is what you have to work with, and you're going to make all of those days, even if it's 4. If it's 4 days, you're going to make those the most awesome 4 days of the entire summer because you now have a goal. You know what you're working with, and now we can really plan what it is that you're going to do in order to make the time that you do have all that more awesome. But before we do, there's one other piece of reality that we have to look at: money. These are the restraints that we are living with, right? It's not all just pie in the sky living. We have to live within reality of knowing how much time we have and how much money do we actually have to spend. So before we start daydreaming about how we're going to make the limited time we do have extremely awesome, we need to think about the resources that we are working with. What is your budget for your summer fun? All right, so once we've done the budget, we've done the calendar, now we can start dreaming a little bit more. Now we can start doing some of the fun stuff. This is one of my favorite traditions that we do as a family, and it's called a summer bucket list. Now, we always get like the big paper that you would use at like a meeting or a conference, like the big Post-it note sheets. And we just write on there, like, what are the things that you really want to do this summer? And we write it down and we have a discussion as a family, like, we want to go camping. We want to go fishing. I want to eat s'mores. I want to look at the stars, whatever it is, right? The things that everyone thinks is a priority for them. Everyone gets a voice and it goes on that summer bucket list. Then you can decide, okay, these are the things we're going to get done. And then when you're doing like your weekly planning or your monthly planning, you can look to that list and say, okay, what are we doing this week? How can I plan to make sure it's executed right? So you can make sure that, when you're ordering your groceries, for example, you're getting the right food that you're going to need for that activity, or you're planning your time accordingly. Or if you're going to be using your vacation time during summer, you know when to plan it because you already know what are the key activities that are most important to your family. Now, inside of the Summer of Awesome Toolbox, there are some tips to help guide you through doing the summer bucket list with your family. And there's a link in there also to the exact paper that we prefer to use and that we traditionally use in our family. So you can check that out. Now, once you have that summer bucket list, then we got to start working on making it a reality. So in your workbook, you're going to see a page that has a couple different columns. It's the last page in the workbook. And the first column is that bucket list item. So mom, you're going to put whatever they put on that big sheet of paper. We always keep ours in the hallway so everyone can see it and we can mark it off. And, if you think of something else that you really want to do, you can put it on there, whatever it might be. Anyway, so as a mom, you're going to go to your worksheet and you're going to put those items that are on the bucket list on the worksheet. Then the next column asks you what supplies are needed. So it really kind of gets you thinking like, oh, the kids want to have a water balloon fight. We're going to need water balloons, right? So you want to be thinking about those things that you're going to need to do those different activities. That goes on that column. The next column is the cost column. Now, there might be some things that your family dreams up on the summer bucket list that when you go to the cost column, you're like, this is not in the budget. And if that's the case, I would encourage you to think creatively about how you can do that on a smaller budget. Now, obviously, if your family's like, we want to go to Europe, okay, can't really go to Europe, maybe that's not in the cards, but can you make like a at-home European vacation? I know it's super cheesy, but maybe there's some things that you can do, like going out to dinner at different restaurants from different countries, cuisines from around Europe, whatever it might be. So you can get creative by bringing the ideas of some of those things on the bucket list, even if they're not in the budget. But of course, you want to make sure you're talking with your family about the reality of that too. And it's a good teaching lesson for your kids. Next, after the cost, is when is it planned? This is about getting it on the calendar, you guys. I can't even tell you how many times I've set really good intentions. We've brainstormed really fun ideas. And then next thing you know, it's September. And you're like, what happened? Where did summer go? So you need to plan it, put it on the calendar as soon as possible. Now, obviously, knowing that sometimes things change, of course, but the more you can plan ahead of time, the more you can live into the reality of it, the more likely it is it's actually going to happen. And then there's a spot in there for some notes. Now, this might be something that you need to remind yourself of or something to ask someone about. I know for me, I often do these things early in the morning before anyone else is up. And so I might need to ask my husband about something or my kids about something. And so I'll put it in a note just to remind myself. And that is it. That is the Summer of Awesome. So let's just review this really quick. Okay, we're going to set some intentions for your kids and for yourself for summer. Then you're going to start working out the calendar, figuring out how many days you got to work with, putting the stuff on there that needs to be on there that's already planned so you know exactly what the reality of your time looks like. Then you're going to go through the reality of the money, and then you're going to plan all of the awesome stuff to fill up your calendar, all of the things that will bring those intentions into life. Now, one final little tip that I have for you is as you're looking at that summer bucket list that you've filled out, once you've completed the whole planning process, I want you to look at those things that you've planned and then go back to your intentions and ask yourself, does this reflect that? Because sometimes we can go through this process and then we get so wrapped up into the coming up with ideas, or we get influenced by the things that we quote unquote think we should be wanting to do because it's summertime, and we put those things on there. So for example, if your primary goal was to rest and you're looking at that bucket list and you're like, this does not look like rest, then you have to ask yourself, what is more important, the intention of rest or the things on the bucket list item? If rest is it, then you got to go back to the bucket list and come up with some things that really reflect rest for you and your family. Or maybe you're looking at the bucket list and you're like, this looks way more fun than rest. We're going to change our intention, and that is okay too. But making sure your intention is aligned with the reality that you're planning, that is the goal. That is what you want. If you are going into this process with a different intention that's not in alignment with what you're planning, you're not going to reach your intentions, right? Kind of a no-brainer. I'm so excited for you to go through the Summer of Awesome process and to really utilize all of the tools that you'll find inside of the Your Life Rocks app. Again, you can go into courses and access Summer of Awesome completely free. Now, for our Life Balance members, you're going to get some bonus content on the member exclusive podcast all throughout the summer months, plus some extra ideas that I have to make things extra special and extra awesome for you as we move through the next few weeks. I'm so excited for you to create a Summer of Awesome for your family. And next week, we are going to be joined with a special guest where we are going to be talking all about comparison. And ladies, I can't even tell you how important I think this conversation it is once we have done our summer planning to then be thinking about the comparison trap that we can get in, because comparison can wreck all of the work that you just did in preparing for a Summer of Awesome. So next week, we will be getting into that, and then we will start our summer challenge, which I'm so excited about. I think it's going to be so much fun, something I look forward to every year. So until then, keep building a life that rocks. Bye. Hey, just because the episode's over doesn't mean we have to stop hanging out. Head on over to Instagram and follow me there. You can find me at your.life.rocks. Or if you're more of a Facebook kind of girl, join our community of working Christian moms just like you. You can search Your Life Rocks over on Facebook and connect with us there. And if you're ready to truly create lasting balance and get results in your life, maybe it's time for you to join Life Balance Membership. Download the Your Life Rocks app in iTunes or in Google Play. You can upgrade to the membership right inside the app. And if you're looking for more resources to help you create more balance, head on over to yourliferocks.com.